Hello and welcome to Barbara's podcast. This is the show for women, all about health, nutrition, and wellness. It's the show that will empower you and inspire you to create a healthier lifestyle.
Hello and welcome to the show where we explore the world of holistic health and wellness. Today I'm excited to introduce Michael Dorfman, investigative author and accomplished author and speaker and a certified health and wellness and nutrition coach. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much, Barbara. A pleasure to be here.
So, Michael, you've lived in both New York and Mexico. How has your life in Mexico shaped your perspective on health, freedom, and fearlessness?
Well, I feel that it's been it's become free for me to express my ideas and do investigation. And I think moving to Mexico many years ago, I feel like an outsider looking at what's happening around the world, and I've just I just feel freer, and I feel great here in Mexico. It's a very open society and a lot of freedom. You're not judged very much. I've been canceled on a couple of things, when I was talking about different topics. But here I feel open and free, and I love what I'm doing here. And Mexico is a great place to live. I love it. I've been living here for like 53 years.
Incredible. It's fascinating how environment and culture can deeply influence our outlook on life and well-being.
Yeah, it's really interesting you mentioned that because, when you live in another culture, you really and experience the culture and the people. It's different than just going and traveling around the world as a tourist, and you
Yeah.
just don't. It's a whole different. You find out what's really happening. Is it true what they're telling me about this place or that place? And you find out that around the world that people are people. Everybody is the same. Basically, want the same things. Peace in their lives and to have a place to live and to have a job. And everybody, everywhere is basically the same. And that's what we have to understand. That maybe it's the governments and the people who are setting the different principles and the things we have to follow, but the people are really just people, and together we do wonderful things.
Yes, absolutely. In your book, The Thriving Vegan, you emphasize the power of whole plant-based foods. How do you see nutrition connecting with becoming fearless in today's fearful world?
Well, I think one of the things that why nutrition is so important, because it really it affects every part of you, every part, whether it's the physical, the mental, and the emotional part of ourselves. That being healthy, and part of it is nutrition. I also talk about the lifestyle. Helps us really see the world from a different perspective. Because when you're healthy in complete sense of the word, which I call wellness, actually,
Yes.
it allows you to feel free of being able to understand that you know there are powers, or there's information that's trying to tell us the one way of looking at that nutrition and lifestyle, and but when you really experience wellness, then you can I feel you live free and more fearless of in a world that's really fearful.
Yeah. Well, I think it's inspiring to think that the foods we eat not only fuel our bodies, but can also empower our minds and our emotions.
Yeah, that's good. That's totally true. And especially as you get older, I'm 83 now, and I'm really experiencing, I'm thriving. I'm experiencing a very vibrant life. I write, I speak, I do many things. I play sports. So
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just this idea, because one of the things that happens, when you get older, you get in your 60s and 70s, you start getting sick. You get chronic diseases begin at that
Yeah.
age. And once you get, that's what you become afraid of. And once you get a chronic disease, you're afraid, well, when am I going to get worse? Am I going to die ahead of time? Before I really get a chance to do things I want to do. But when you're healthy, you get by that fear. You become more fearless. That's the way I feel about it. And you start seeing that you know there's nothing to be afraid of as long as you maintain good health in all senses of the word. And that's what I'm all about, and that's what I'm living.
Well, I think you're truly an inspiration and a great example, something to aspire to, Michael.
Well,
Because I
thank you.
do see,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. No,
I was
I'm
going to
writing.
say that I see
Okay.
a lot of people around me that you said you mentioned in their 60s and 70s that they get ill, but I've started seeing people in their, mid 50s or early 50s that start getting sick with, various chronic diseases.
Yes, because chronic disease doesn't start all of a sudden when you're 60 or 70. Chronic diseases start very early in life, and you even notice that type 2 diabetes or obesity among children
Yeah.
is grown tremendously. So diseases start early in the life, and when we're younger, because our bodies are still intact and healthy and young, we're able to resist it, because resist the diseases more, because the body is resilient, the body adapts, the body is incredible. But this doesn't mean that the diseases aren't slowly progressing from a very young age. And it's then when we get into like the 40s and 50s, and that's what's happening. People are getting sicker younger than it used to be, and even the life expectancy. I mean, in Cyprus maybe it's different. In the U.S., it's going backwards. It's already, it used to be 78, now it's 76, and that's a bad sign because of the foods we eat and the lifestyles we have, the sedentary lifestyle. So this is something that people really need to pay attention to if we want to live a long, healthy life and experience longevity the way it's supposed to be experienced.
Yeah. Well, it's happening in Cyprus as well. It's not just in the States.
I think all over the world,
Yeah.
it's and people need to get the information that we have to stop listening to the industries and the drug, especially the drug industry, pharmaceutical industry, and we have to start taking responsibility for our own health. And when we start doing that and do our own research and find out that some of the information we're getting about what's healthy and what's not healthy, then things can change for us, and we really can thrive as we get older.
Yes. I agree with you there. In your new book, Information Warfare, it explores how information is manipulated to control the public. How can people move from belief to knowledge in such a confusing landscape?
Yeah, well, that's a big problem that we have today, especially with the control of the media. And that's what it's the information world that we're living in. But there's so much information out there being published by so many different groups and so many different people who are, in power, that it's the same thing with the nutrition, unless we take it upon ourselves to say, wait a second, I don't know if that's true what they're telling me about what's going on in this world. I'm going to start doing my own research. And that's what I've been doing. I've been in that book, The Information Warfare. It took 2.5 years to write, but I really got into the research, and it became, that's why I call myself an investigative author. It really takes, delving deep into the information that's available to find out, and maybe you don't agree with what I say, what other people say, but it's really important to be open to listen to other people, to podcasts, to information that's out there in alternative media, independent media, and then you can get a grasp, a little bit better grasp on when you listen to both sides of the story, then you could maybe make a more intelligent or conscious decision for yourself. What do I really believe, or what makes sense to me? Because sometimes, we go along with what we're being told or what the information that's available, but it may not make sense to us. But we still, if we don't have any other information to, as an alternative, we just say, well, if that's what they're telling me, if that's what the government or the media is saying to me, or the industries are saying to me, the corporations are saying to me, we'll just go along with what that information without questioning it. And to me, I've got to the point where all I can say is question everything.
Yeah, I do. I do question everything, and I think knowledge is power. Uh, but then again, I think so many of us are seeking practical tools to separate truth from noise in our daily lives, and social media does create so much noise. And I call it clickbait. So they put up titles and things like
Totally,
that
yeah.
just to get their clickbaits, and and it's not accurate, and it does get confusing for people.
Yes, that's totally true. That clickbait, and you never know. And something you have. What I do is I try to weed out, what's I don't want to listen to because I don't trust this or that. But I've come to the point where there are certain podcasts, certain speakers, professors that I listen to, and I get another side of the story. And I listen to everything. I listen to the mainstream media. Here I'll just get, well, okay, what am I being told by the mainstream media today? And then I'll say, okay, what is the other side of the story? And this is the way that and I think maybe that's one of the things where you were mentioning about becoming fearless. I think when you have more knowledge of what's going on, you could sort of step back and not just say, because one side it may be trying to really create fear that this is what's going on, and we get stuck in that, and it could really that's why there's so much stress in the world, because people, what's happening around the world. It's whether it's the economies, the wars that are going on, just all this craziness that's going on. So I think stepping back and looking at, and also withdrawing into myself, and that I'm me, and I'm a person, and I'm looking at the world and seeing the world, and just being able to step back. And maybe that's also one of the things I could say about being out of the U.S., because that's where I was born. I'm originally, and now stepping back and just watching this, and I'm able to, when I wrote this book, The Information Warfare, it was sort of an outsider writing down. I was able to see it and understand it and and write it as if I was watching a movie going on in
Yeah.
that sense.
Well, for me, I think what helps me sift through some information or is looking at the science. I'll look up at some research papers on a certain food or a certain herb or a certain treatment, and I'll try and find if there's any science or any, studies that have been done to back up some of the claims, and that's how it helps me sift through any.
Well, that also takes a lot, because a lot of the science is being backed up by groups that are
Well,
so yeah.
that's one of the things I check actually. I also see, well, who has it been funded by? And, if it's like an
Yeah,
independent
exactly.
study, then okay. But if it's been funded by, a large corporation, then I think, okay, then maybe not.
Yeah, so you're doing exactly what people should be doing, and just not accept it. But people, it takes work, it takes effort to say, okay, I'm going to do that, And there's so many people would rather say, well, I don't know. And that happens, they're not interested in what's happening globally. I'm very interested in what's happening globally because it affects my life, and I like to know what's going on. And I think that people should, because it's very comfortable to not challenge,
Yeah.
just to accept that, just watch TV or just, on the phones and, the entertainment that's available. But, in order to really get a better perspective of what's going on, you have to really put some effort into it.
Yeah. You talk about developing a more intimate and harmonious relationship with our bodies. What steps can someone take today to build that trust with their own body?
Well, it's interesting because the book I'm writing now, which I'm hoping to finish by the end of the year, is the Longevity Wellness Revolution. And I decided to write about that because I'm 83, and I'm living the life that I always wanted to live as I got older. And it started off with the blue zones. I don't know if you're familiar with the blue zone. Yeah.
I'm very
Uh,
familiar with it.
So I started the blue zones there are 5 places around the world that were discovered where the healthiest and longest living people on the planet live. And they have things that are in common, even though they're separated by oceans. They're in different parts of the world. There's one there's the Okinawa, Japan, and then you have Sardinia in Italy, Ikaria or Ikaria in Greece, Loma Linda, California, and Nicoya in Costa Rica. And they're separated, and yet there are certain things they have in common. And they're living 10, 15 years longer than most other parts of the world. And they have certain lifestyles. And one of the things is basically plant-based foods they eat. Maybe not 100%. I try to stay 100%. That's what I do. But some places they eat, fish and some meat, but not in large quantities. And it's basically plant-based. And there are other things that are very important, and that's not really stressed in other parts of the world. And that is, I people go to the gym. It's important to exercise, but people in the blue zones, they don't go to the gym. Their life is movement. They're constantly in movement because they don't live in big cities. They're mostly in rural areas, but they move a lot. They do things. It's not sitting down in front of the screen, and that's what we do. We love to be in that comfort zone, but we don't have to move too much. We want things to come to us, pretty easy. And then they do meditation to avoid, the stress. They do yoga and Tai Chi. They're also, what's very important in the blue zones is community. It's very important. Human beings are social animals, and community is important. A loving community, a caring community where people take care of each other, and where whether it's communities based on religion or things they have in common, or it's interesting because in Loma Linda, they play pickleball, which I play. I play 3-4 times a week, and they play together, and so that's another way. So it's this community sharing that's very important, and then also purpose. This is especially true as you get older, and maybe you're looking towards retirement. What am I going to do when I retire? People think that, well, this is the American dream. You retire and you sit back. You can just hang out, do what you want to do. But in the blue zones, they don't, their life doesn't, they don't retire. They just keep on going. They're very active. They're moving all the time. And that's what we need to do and change it's all a mindset, it's, and this is what I find. So for me, I look for challenges, and, whether it's challenges for the mind, because when you get older, the fear maybe of getting, senile, or, different types of diseases you can get, and the mind starts failing. So you have to exercise the mind, and part of it is in nutrition, and part of it is actually whether it's playing games, whether it's writing, whether it's learning something new. One of the things I wanted to mention is, so I look for challenges to make my brain work. And so I hurt my shoulder playing pickleball. And well, what am I going to do? So I haven't played in a few weeks. So I decided, well, maybe I'm going to learn to play with my left hand.
Okay.
So that's what I'm doing. And it's really hard. It's like, here's this hand that's flopping around all over the place that I haven't used my whole life. And I'm trying to play the game. But I know that this is good for my brain. My brain is starting, he's got to work. It's like learning a new instrument, So this is what I do. So the challenges are very important. And I think that people should understand that making the change to plant-based, which to me, it's really a no-brainer. You have to eat more plants, whether it's, vegetables, whether it's fruits, whether it's grains, whether it's seeds, whether it's nuts. Put it into your life, because that's where the nutrition is. We need more healthy carbs. A lot of the diets today are high fat, low carbs, but that doesn't work because you need carbs for it. Processed carbohydrates. And we can't go along with that. We have to see that we need healthy carbohydrates, because that's where the number one energy source for human beings has been forever. And sometimes, with the new trend towards the keto diet, ketosis, with burning, instead of burning carbs, they burn the fats. That's okay in extreme situations where you don't have the carbs. That's the history with paleo man as well, during for the hunter gatherers. Yes, we're okay. We can burn out the fat, but it's not really long term. It's not our favorite energy source of the human being. So that is why we need healthy carbs, and we need to avoid processed foods, which is 80% of the foods we eat in the United States are highly processed foods. You're not going to get healthy that way.
I'll tell you, I've recently moved to a small village in the mountains in Cyprus. And there's most of my neighbors are 80 years old plus. And there's a lady there, and I think she's my hero. She's 88. She doesn't take any medication for anything. And and I see what she eats. She walks. She does a lot of walking, and there's some steep roads up there. That she might not even break into a sweat, and I'm not sweating. But I see that they forage, so they eat a lot of wild edible plants with each season that comes in. They'll forage mushrooms. They'll, even at those ages, they'll go and tend to their orchards. The other day she was picking almonds off the trees and breaking them. She got some grapes. And truth be told, yes, it's mostly plant-based. They eat very, very little meat. And yeah, so she's also an inspiration. She's my study. I study.
It's interesting also because the hunter gatherers, that's one of the reasons that people, that meat is very popular, because of the hunter gatherers and what they ate. But the latest research is showing that and this is from their poop, the feces. They find that the amounts of plants they ate were plant based, and that's very important for our gut. And so they weren't getting it was they did kill animals and they ate the animals, but at that time, and there still is tens of thousands of edible plants in nature that we don't even know about. modern human beings we cultivate 150 different types of vegetables and plants when there's actually 30,000. So that's what they did when they foraged. It was out there, nature has that. So that's one of the most important things that we have to do, and in order to get the fiber we need. And one of the problems of our diet when we don't get enough plant foods is we don't get enough fiber, and we get a fraction of the fiber that we're supposed to be getting in order to get a healthy gut. The microbiome, the good bacteria in our gut, they love the fiber, and that's their favorite food. And if we don't get enough of that, that's causes the growth of bacteria that's not favorable, and the bacteria that leads to inflammation and eventually to different diseases. So this is why eating more plants is extremely important. Even if you don't get 100%, I tell the story of Beatrice in my book, the first book. And when she was a friend of ours in Mexico, and she had a heart attack, and they did quadruple bypass heart surgery. She recovered. She went home, and a year later she had to come back, and they wanted to put a stent in the vein that replaced the aorta, the artery to the heart, and they couldn't do it because it was too narrow. So they told her that there was nothing they could do. They told her to go home. And what they told my wife, and they also told her son, is she had about 6 months to live. So I found out about it because I had already been plant-based at that time for a couple of years. And I told her about the possibility of eating vegan foods, healthy vegan foods. And I gave her this book called Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease by Dr. Esselstyn. And she did. And instead of living 6 months, she lived almost 9 years. So this was incredible to find out. And no doctors told her that. The doctors tell you about the drugs, the pharmaceutical, drugs to take. And but they don't know anything about nutrition, or almost nothing about nutrition or lifestyle. So if you depend on your doctors, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get their knowledge, which is, very minimal as far as how to live a healthy life and how to
And they don't
live
give you
drug
any
free.
alternative options either.
Exactly. So that's really why it's important, and the information is out there for people who are interested in making a change. It's never too late to make a change.
No, absolutely. It's never too late. Well, I'm happy to see that you've dedicated your later years to helping people live longer, healthier, and more purposeful lives. So, what message would you like to share with listeners about thriving at any age?
Well, I would first of all, I'd say stop listening to people who would tell you that you're over the hill, that there's nothing more. Once you reach your 70s, all you can do is either wait to die or live as best you can in the last few years. And I'm saying it doesn't have to be that way at all. It's interesting because for me, it's now I'm 83, and I'm not counting the years. For me, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to live to 100. I know that there are many, many people in the blue zones, the older people, they live past 100. I've seen, you can actually watch a documentary, which is on Netflix. Live to 100, Secrets of the Blue Zones. It's on Netflix, and you could
No,
just see
I've
that.
seen it. I think I was one. As soon as
Yeah.
it was on Netflix, I got to see it.
And it's amazing. And so, people, you could start thriving. So once you get the idea and you understand that, wait a second, you mean that I could live all the way into my 80s and 90s and do creative things? It's the greatest time. Living in the 80s and 90s is the greatest time because you have this whole lifetime of wisdom and experience that you've experienced it. So if you combine that with your health, if you're healthy, then you can just share it, or you can help, in places, even in rural China and Japan and Africa, it's the elder people that are the wise people, and they're older, in their 80s and 90s, and they're look up to, as guides for life. Because why? Because we're experienced. We've lived through so many things, and that's what we have to see, that life doesn't end in your 70s. It begins at 80, and that's what I'm trying to promote. Life begins at 80, not at any other age.
Why not? We've got someone in the village who's 95 and he's driving and going to his orchard and living a very vibrant life. He's doing well.
Yeah, and it
So
can
I
happen
love.
for yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I love the idea that it's never too late to reclaim your
Yeah.
health and vitality and joy, no matter where you are on your journey.
Yeah. When I was younger, there was a saying that it was life begins at 40 because of
Yes.
midlife crisis. That midlife crisis was like in your 40s, your middle age. And it's like that doesn't exist anymore. People don't see the 40s as life begins at 40. It's gone because people are living longer now. So it's not, and now people are having better experiences as they get older, but it's important to be healthy. And now that's why I'm saying life begins at 80. And if you could start believing it's a mindset too, when doctors tell people that, okay, you have cancer, you have 3 months to live, you have 6 months, people believe that, and they do die within 3 months or 6 months because of the mind believes it. But if you don't go along with that and know that we could create our own idea of what life can be for me, for each person.
And set your own standards.
Exactly.
So before we wrap up, where can our listeners connect with you?
Well, I have my new website. It's longevitywellnessrevolution.com. I'll send it to you. I don't know if I sent
I can put
out.
it into the show notes.
Okay, I'll send that to you. And I also have, and people can subscribe to, I'm on Substack. I send out weekly articles, either a weekly or every 10 days, mostly on health and people, how they can take care of them, how to avoid stress, and how to create new habits, which can be done at any age. So people can subscribe to that. I'll send you for the show notes, my Substack handle. And I'm on Facebook too. I have my Facebook page, and so I'll send that. And it would be really great because I really like to receive information from people. And if people are interested in subscribing, it's fantastic.
It's been an absolute pleasure having you as a guest, and thank you again for your time and being such a lovely guest on my show.
Well, thank you, Barbara. I was looking forward to this, and you're great. I just feel like really easy for me to express what I like to express.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to Barbara's podcast. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter or e-courses. Celebrate life, and see you at the next episode.